Welcome, and thank you for joining me for Where Have All the Repeat Clients Gone? Long time passing. I so appreciate you taking an hour out of your day to hear what I have to say about residential cleaning, and I will try very hard to live up to your level of expectation for this hour, which is ironically the theme of my presentation today: defining and meeting levels of expectation. In the past 2 years, I have been from the East Coast, chatting with cleaners in the Happy Factory, to the West Coast, during which time I have trained more than 270 cleaners in 25 offices, from New York to Atlanta, to Texas, to California, to Canada. And if there was one common theme, one common challenge I saw in all offices, it was exactly what I started this presentation with: defining levels of expectation and then clearly making those levels of expectation clear to both your external and internal clients. If everyone understands what everybody is to expect, and those expectations are delivered consistently, you will have a perfect circle of excellence that will just keep rolling. That's a 10-year gross revenue that client is giving to you of $41,600. Now, I am a farmer's daughter, so I maybe value a dollar more than most people, but to me, that's a lot of money, and I think to most people, that's a lot of money. So what should a client expect to see for $41,600? Can you see the cobwebs coming here? From the duster down to the lamp? Can you see the cobwebs coming here from the wall all the way up to the ceiling? That is not a crack through that large beam. That is a cobweb. Can you see this? This looks like it's a crack in the ceiling, but actually it's cobwebs that are hanging off of the ceiling. Or how about this? That's not a paint-speckled floor. That is dust that we got off of that air vent close to the floor. No, folks, these are not one-time cleanings. All of these examples are weekly or bi-weekly clients. So, repeat client expectations. Are clients fussy? Should this client cancel? I'll tell you, most clients call me and say, I've got this really picky client, and I'm like, what are they picky about? If it's one of these issues, I'd say you have a practical client who wants what they're paying for. If you feel things like this are okay, if you believe after you write the level of expectation, what you're going to clean in the customer's home, and clearly define that to the client, if you do not feel that you can fulfill that level every single time you clean the home, you owe it to that client to let them know. We're not perfect. We're going to miss something every time we clean your home, because perhaps we don't have a process in place. But if this is true, then you owe it to your client to say, we're going to miss one thing every time we clean your home, or we're going to miss 2 things every time we clean your home. I also have to ask you this question: does the home look as good in 6 months as it did after your deep clean? Another thing that you all need to take a look at is your work orders. Your client gives the office, sometimes they call the office, sometimes they tell a previous cleaner, special directions in that home, and they expect them to be documented and followed every time. If your people can't speak English, folks, then how in the world can they follow your work order? It should include valuable information. How about the home I went into where the work order said, dust really well here? Well, to that my response has to be, in what home don't you dust really well? So people stop reading your work orders. Your cleaners do, your supervisors do, because they're boring and it doesn't have any meat worth their reading. But this particular one, of course I read them all to see what they're like, said dust really well. We get inside the house, and thank heavens one of the cleaners had been to this house before and said to us, don't touch the religious glass shelf over there or they'll cancel the service. Well, of course, if she weren't with us, I guarantee you I would have dusted that shelf. It's my biggest fear that I'm going to go out training one of these homes, and when we get back to the office, the customer is going to be calling up, screaming about the quality of the cleaning. I miss nothing when I clean a home. just like I train the cleaners to do, miss nothing. So if it needs to be missed, it needs to be on the work order, not up in somebody's head. Now let's talk about the third person on that circle, your internal customer or your cleaner. Does your not understanding and or meeting their level of expectation have something to do with the attrition in your company? I submit to you it does, in areas you're not even thinking about. Let's start with company t-shirts. I worked in an office where we interviewed somebody, an excellent applicant actually, and one of the things she was most excited about was the fact that this very gracious owner gave 5 uniforms to each employee so they didn't have to worry about washing clothes during the week. Now, we don't have a lot of benefits, so that's a great benefit and an inexpensive one to give, and obviously it touches the heart of the employee. So we finish interviewing her and we hire her, and that night when we're getting ready for the orientation and we're getting everything put in place like I teach everyone to do, no uniforms in her size. So there's the first level of expectation right out the window. And I had to convince the owner and the field manager that this employee had to be called and told that she would not have a uniform the next day and to wear something that she didn't mind cleaning in. Because when she came to her interview, she was very nicely dressed, which is what we want them to look like when they come to an interview. Why wouldn't she come the same way the next morning, expecting to change into her uniform? So we start out right away not meeting this person's level of expectation. And what do we do when we get to the part of the orientation the next day where we talk about uniforms being mandatory and they must be worn every day? Well, that loses a little bit of its integrity when they're not important enough to have enough in stock to give to a new employee. You set the benchmark for what integrity is in your company. Please try to at least meet the level of expectation on your employees' first day. What about poor supplies? I am amazed at the supplies that I see in the field. There's not enough supplies, or they look like this. How in the world are we supposed to dust with that duster when that long duster broke like that after the first room? Last, is it possible to clean a home perfect every single time? Absolutely. But you must have a proven cleaning process in place, and every single person in that entire company from the top on down must follow that system. The process must be taught to the manager. It would be great if the owner became embedded enough to understand it and what tools they need to, and training they need to support it. And every cleaner must use it consistently. Process must clean absolutely everything in a home. Cleaning is habit, and whatever that cleaner misses the first time when they're cleaning them on a repeat basis, they will miss every single time. And that's why you see ceiling fans the way they look, and air vents the way they look, and the fingerprints I saw in door facings were ridiculous. Cleaners will embrace it. Oh my gosh. They want the aprons. They do not fight them. They find them to be a very handy tool, which they are if you show them how to use them. But if you just give them an apron and don't show them how to use it, it's just one more hot thing you're making them wear. They want to be trained. I had to try and get through as many cleaners as I possibly could in Hoboken because these cleaners wanted to be trained, and it's true in almost every single office. I try and hit every single one in at least one area, train the trainer, and then they cross-train them in the other areas. Adopt a cleaning process for cleaning repeat client homes and follow it consistently. You need to have a cleaning process in place that every single person uses exactly the same way so that the level of expectation of the client can consistently be met. The majority of cleaners do want to learn a process that helps them clean better and easier, so do not be afraid of this. They will embrace it and love it. 25 to 100% of the homes I trained in had something wrong in them that was worthy of cancellation. If I would have had these issues in my homes, I would have been carrying 250 clients, maybe 200 instead of 754. They have legitimate reasons for quitting. Bless the hearts of the 25 offices who have fixed this problem, because indeed they are growing massively fast. I visited one office at 460 repeat clients in, I think it was the beginning of March, and today they have almost reached 600, it's like 590.